So, tell me where it all began.
Alright. So, tell me where it all began.
Alright.
Oh, you're that guy!
The one and only.
I was your therapist!
You're more delusional than I thought.
You were my patient that wouldn't stop talking about virginity!
And not being your patient.
You played that mammal game with the toys?
I would remember if that happened. It's on my bucket list.
The tennis thing with Big Luigi?
If that game doesn't exist, it would be on the news.
And you're about to talk about something else, and that's what I called it!
See, this is where your story falls flat. It's really unlike me to talk about 3 things.
You freaked me out, man. The fact you gave a shit about 3 different games scared me. Who knows what you're capable of giving a shit about?
Let me get this straight. You believe I, who answered a 1 ad in the paper for therapists, used to have you as a therapist, and you went insane after therapy sessions with you about 3 games caused you to question faith.
That's my obituary.
Okay, well, I can't help you until I know what the 3rd game is going to be.
Why?
It sounds like a good thing to add in my book, My Patient's Personal Stories and I.
I don't know. You didn't talk about it. It was a game.
Wait, I remember a game. You were a therapist!
I tried to be a news anchor, but I wasn't cut out. So I became a therapist, yeah.
And I was your patient, and I had to go to you because I played 3 Nintendo games from 2015 that were so bad I had to seek therapy.
Well, what was the 3rd game? What happened when you played the 3rd game?
After I get therapy for playing all 3 of these games, I'm going to suppress everything, forget who I am, and become a therapist. And here we are today.
So it's just a 2D game about a robot!
A bad 2D game about a robot.
Those exist?
Not until 2015 they didn't.
Listen, can you just get over this trauma so I can enjoy my therapy in peace?
No, you need to get over your trauma.
I need therapy, alright? And you're gonna give me advice on how to improve my mental health, and you're gonna like it!
You were a therapist. Don't you give yourself therapy?
My mirror's in the shop!
You don't know what I go through every day. How do you expect me to give you secret therapy when we didn't even finish our original session?
You know, I'll tell you what. If I finish your session, will we do my therapy?
You know there are millions of customer support websites that would love to hear your personal problems.
You need to finish what you started. We need to end this now! I have dinner tonight with my family, and I gotta finish this before then, so I don't show up insane!
Okay, fine. Let's go to where it all began.
Nice place. Is this your couch?
Yeah. Okay, this place, so... You ever take a shit?
Oh yeah, been a big fan.
Cool, so you know what this place is. This is the bathroom.
Know what's always there?
Well, on the off chance I need to restock, no, but I keep these here as a hobby. I like to curate them. This game blows. This game blows.
Oh!
Game
Oh my
blows.
god! It's worse than I thought!
This game blows. I really should have reconsidered installing that.
You know, I may have left the force a while ago, but when it comes to makeshift therapy offices, I still got it!
I've seen better.
So, tell me where it all went wrong.
Well...
This game is worse than I thought.
Chibi-Robo Ziplash is a stupid fucking fuck shit.
You know, that sounds about right, but something just doesn't seem right.
Oh, hey, Scott here.
Now this is therapy!
Back in 275 BC, Euclid did us all a solid and discovered the 3rd dimension, and it only took until 2015 for Chibi-Robo to piss all over that. Chibi-Robo Ziplash. Over the years, I've been harsh to this game, calling it such names as bad. You may say, Scott, that's just an opinion. I'll respond with, I don't know, the fact detector says otherwise. I don't like this game. If it came to my funeral, I'd be pissed I died in the first place. Of course, what makes it so bad? Say, and well, we should go all the way back to the early 2000s. A great time. This didn't exist yet. The developer known as Skip Limited were widely known for being unknown. They've made quite a few titles in their day, but none of them particularly did all too well. Most people have never even heard of any of the games they've worked on, but they still have a devoted fan base. There's truly nothing else like a Skip game. They have such distinct art styles and humor, it's hard not to appreciate their creativity. Games like Gift Pia on the GameCube, Captain Rainbow on the Wii, only Skip could have made these. And it's a shame barely anybody outside of Japan could experience them as they weren't localized. They created the art style games on WiiWare and DSiWare, the game LOL for the DS, their LinkedIn is doing just fine, don't worry. But the thing they're most well known for, undoubtedly, is Chibi-Robo. And people still don't know what this fucking thing is. Here we have a developer who works with Nintendo pretty much exclusively. They've published all of their games except LOL.
Take a chance for once!
And most of their biggest games never left Japan, didn't even do well in Japan to begin with, and their mascot franchise, which got 6 releases, still isn't actively known by anybody outside of this room.
Wait, do I know what it is?
Are you lonely?
No.
Then no.
Isn't that weird? A developer that makes this many games with Nintendo, the biggest name in all of words, and if I called the police saying, I was robbed, they took my Nintendo game developed by Skip, they'd go, who? Well, Skip is most known for Chibi-Robo. Announced in 2003, it was initially far different from the final product. It was a point-and-click adventure game to be published by Bandai. You had to tell that Chibi-Robo where to go and what to do. He was a tiny little robot exploring the home of an inventor, and like all good games with this premise, it was shelved. However, Shigeru Miyamoto of Nintendo got a good look at this game and expressed fondness of the character of Chibi-Robo. This is where the company stepped in and decided to publish the game instead of Bandai. Miyamoto joined as a producer and helped shape the game into the final product we have today, which released for the Nintendo GameCube in 2005 for Japan and 2006 for the rest of the world. Chibi-Robo plug-into adventure transformed from a point-and-click into a flat-out adventure game. You directly control Chibi-Robo exploring a family's house instead of an inventor's. The family bought their own Chibi-Robo helper robot. That's me! Roaming around a standard house as a normal-sized human? Boo. As a robot the size of a quarter? It's a dream come true! It's really cool to run around a typical family home, but from the perspective of a rat. Just climbing up furniture is like climbing up a mountain in a regular video game. It's a fun concept, and that's not the only thing Chibi-Robo had going for it. This game is weird and different, and that's what I like about it. The humor and style is so it. You meet so many crazy characters, and the gameplay mechanics of having to find an outlet to plug in to recharge and trying to make the humans who bought you happy by accomplishing tasks and gaining happy points. This is a solid game that has that Nintendo charm. It sold horribly. I mean, this released pretty late in the GameCube's life. By the time Chibi-Robo came out, I don't think many people were interested in taking a risk on a character that's plug-based on a system nobody had. It's a shame because Chibi-Robo as a character has a similar level of charm as any of the other cutesy Nintendo mascots. If they just gave him a chance to succeed, he could live on for quite a long time.
Wanna know what happened?
Already got tickets to the funeral.
E3 2006, Chibi-Robo Bark Patrol was announced for the Nintendo DS. How the hell did that happen? How do you make a GameCube game that does poorly and Nintendo goes, fuck it, here's 5 more games? A sequel this soon and on the DS. It was surprising, but hey, this game was coming out pretty early on in the DS's life. It was on a much more popular system. I think Chibi-Robo may have a chance to do well here. Side note, I love how I hold this box. I always hold it like this, but my other hand deserves some spotlight. Welp! Here in North America, Bark Patrol was only available at Walmart. See, that's great. I couldn't think of a better store to sell a Chibi-Robo game. There are 2 types of Americans, people who shop at Walmart and Chibi-Robo fans. There's not much overlap. This seemed like a last-minute decision Nintendo of America made, as just about a month before the game released, GameStop was still taking pre-orders. I feel they just immediately had a bad feeling about this game and made a deal with Walmart, and they probably jumped at the idea of having the exclusive rights to a Nintendo-published DS game, the hottest console out there, and then they found out it was Chibi-Robo.
Great.
I think GameStop would have made more sense. Many believe Walmart was chosen due to Bark Patrol's themes of environmental conservation and how the store was aiming to not kill as many dolphins that year. No. Do you really think Nintendo decided to specifically limit this game's release just because Walmart's views somewhat aligned with the slight theme of a Chibi-Robo game? No, they didn't believe this game was going to be a success and didn't want a warehouse full of unsold copies. Bark Patrol released one day after The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. It got no marketing here. You could only buy it at a store that keeps their games behind a glass door. You'd have to say, "1 Chibi-Robo, please," and I don't have it in my heart to say that to an underpaid cashier. This game also didn't do well. It did better in Japan. I mean, I can actually find commercials they released for it there. But here in North America, it's pretty obvious why it didn't sell. It's unfortunate because it's an okay enough game. You're Chibi-Robo planting flowers in a park. Bit of a different take from the original, and the DS just isn't as good of a platform for a 3D adventure game like this, but it's still a charming, wacky little game. It still feels like Chibi-Robo, though not the same as the original. And Nintendo specifically requested that. They wanted this game to be a new spin on Chibi-Robo. They apparently thought the original didn't sell well because right when everybody on the planet was about to buy it, they looked up the genre. That makes no sense. Well, in 2009, the original Chibi-Robo had a shot at redemption. Nintendo was re-releasing old GameCube games on the Wii at budget prices with motion controls now, dubbed the New Play Control line. Among games like Pikmin, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and Mario Power Tennis, the original Chibi-Robo was set to release on the Wii. This may be a great chance for the game to find a new audience. It was the only new play control game that didn't release outside of Japan. Are you fucking kidding me? There would be no work required to bring this game over. It's just the original GameCube game. The translation work's already been done. You could have released this game on a far more popular platform during the height of its popularity here in North America, but no, the last two games didn't do well over here. Well, of course they didn't. You only released one at Walmart and the other one for a failed console, and you marketed neither of them.
Sorry, I've been holding that in for 23 years.
Didn't this happen in 2009?
So, what's next for Chibi-Robo? How about a true sequel to the original? Bark Patrol was more of a different take on Chibi-Robo, while this next game puts Chibi-Robo right back in a house helping a family out. Same gameplay, same style. This is Chibi-Robo in its purest form. How did they fuck it up? Well, often called Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep by fans, this Nintendo DS game was a full-on continuation of the first game and was really quite good. Both this and the Wii re-release of the original could have brought new life to the series and introduced it to so many more people if they actually marketed and released them outside of Japan. But no. Instead, we had to wait 4 more years for more Chibi-Robo action. Imagine the world without Chibi-Robo games. In 2013, we got Chibi-Robo Photo Finder for the Nintendo 3DS in Japan, and 1 year later everywhere else. It was downloadable only and is more of a Park Patrol-like Chibi-Robo game. By that I mean it was similar to the original style, but with a fair amount of differences. This game focused on taking pictures with the 3DS camera to transport real-world objects into the game's world. I think this was a totally decent little title. It looked quite good for being just a downloadable 3DS game too, though its more realistic-looking art style, while obviously done due to the photo-taking mechanic, isn't nearly as charming as the typical Chibi-Robo style. Taking photos with the 3DS camera though, I think that's what killed a lot of interest in this game. If it came out in 2011 when the 3DS just launched, sure, but the novelty of augmented reality type stuff with the 3DS died off considerably by this point. Nobody really wanted to take pictures with their 3DS anymore, so building an entire game around it starring a character nobody knew, what do you mean we're going out of business? I mean, if playing a photo-based adventure game was your New Year's resolution in 2014, f it, the game released early January here in North America. It was perfect for that.
Oh, come on! You need to be more accepting of different resolutions. For example, my New Year's resolution is to drink more.
It's July.
Yeah!
It didn't help that this game was announced in a Nintendo Direct with dozens of other announcements that easily overshadowed it. Like, people had more to say about Dr. Luigi. Well, I'll give Nintendo credit that they truly kept trying with Chibi-Robo, far more than other franchises that sold even more. They just kept mishandling this series. It felt like they never wanted to blame themselves for the series' low sales and instead chucked it up to, oh, people just don't get Chibi-Robo. What's there to get? He's a tiny robot! I personally believe you can take any character and make him a success with the right type of marketing. Is there any reason why a fat pink circle does well but a tiny robot doesn't? Nintendo believed that if we don't spend any advertising on Chibi-Robo and it still doesn't do well, we probably have to add some gimmick or change the game for the next entry to make it more appealing.
How does a company do so well but goes f***ing asinine when it comes to Chibi-Robo? What's so difficult about understanding that, if I don't market a game, or if I release it at the end of a failed console's lifespan, or I only release it at a store that sells f***ing hoses at, or maybe if I take the only 2 games that may have had a chance in North America and only release it in Japan, that it may be my fault the game's not doing well instead of the games themselves!
Moments like this make me really proud I was voted most likely to be therapist in high school.
Nice, I was voted most likely to go to therapy.
I'm not saying Chibi-Robo could be the next Air. I don't think it appeals to everybody, but there's no reason why so many other games that are weirder and more complicated sell better. It's not rocket science. Nintendo just doesn't understand why this series fails to do at least a little bit better, not the series itself. But see, that's when we entered 2015, and Nintendo's had enough of the series not doing well. They thought, you know what the problem with Chibi-Robo is?
Is lack of empathy?
No.
Overqualification?
Barely.
Tax evasion?
That's me.
Nope, it's the fact Chibi-Robo isn't a 2D platformer.
That's my parents' problem with me too.
Chibi-Robo Ziplash. Game. I've always just had a bit of a problem with this one. Oh, hi Scott, it's your mom. You're adopted.
Well, that's understandable. I appreciate your transparency.
Oh, and Chibi-Robo Ziplash exists.
No!
This was announced in a Japan-exclusive Nintendo Direct on May 31st, 2015, starting things off showing what Chibi-Robo is all about, exploring 3D environments as a miniature robot. Now here's the game you're actually getting, you dumb bitch. So why did they take Chibi-Robo and turn it into a 2D platformer? Well, 2D games are easier to develop, are more accessible, and generally sold much better for Nintendo at the time. After New Super Mario Bros. Success, Nintendo went a bit 2D crazy, and it felt like pretty much all they were making on the Wii U and 3DS at the time were 2D games. Even though 3D games like Super Mario 3D World were very much inspired by 2D games, it was pretty much a 2D Mario game, but with an extra axis. So they probably thought, oh, let's turn Chibi-Robo into a 2D platformer so it'll sell better. Here's the thing, the genre wasn't the problem with Chibi-Robo. You can't just take this character and put him in a kart racer and expect it to sell well. Consumers won't go up to a game called Chibi-Robo's Super Gas and go, oh, finally a genre I care about that Chibi-Robo's in, I'm gonna buy this. No, they're still gonna go, what the f is a Chibi-Robo? Just putting him in a 2D platform is not gonna do anything except make him blend into the crowd more rather than stick out. Listen, I love 2D platformers, but Nintendo made too many of them on 3DS and Wii U. It just felt somewhat cheap and lazy to do nothing but 2D games instead of making a more in-depth 3D one. And I think that was one of the problems with Nintendo this generation. Like, no wonder people didn't buy the Wii U. 2D games are fun and more people can play them, but they just aren't as exciting to look at like 3D games are. You're not gonna buy an entire console for one. The Wii U had a bunch of great 2D games, but that's kind of all it had for a while. 2D platformers are games you don't want to take a risk on. Many of them, especially Nintendo ones, are more so comfort food for people. So tell me, why would you go wild with a game called Chibi-Robo Ziplash if you want a 2D platformer when you could just buy New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS, or Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, or Kirby Triple Deluxe, or Yoshi's New Island, or Shovel Knight, or Sonic, or later on after Ziplash released, Kirby Planet Robobot, Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, Super Mario Maker? Like, sure, making this game a 2D platformer makes it more accessible. Yes! But it set it up to compete against so many of Nintendo's other properties. Like, do you really think Chibi-Robo Ziplash stands a chance next to Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World? Oh, f***ing course not!
So you didn't like that they turned the small robot into Poochie Town?
No, I personally feel there was a lot of potential for Chibi-Robo to work fine in 2D.
You're mental.
Let me finish.
No! You're insane! And I don't work with people who have mental problems.
You're a therapist.
It's not that they turned Chibi-Robo 2D. I mean, if they did it right, it could be a cute little time. My issue is why they did it, how they did it, and when they did it. They did this because Chibi-Robo never sold well, so turn him into a 2D platformer. That makes the whole game feel oddly patronizing. Like, oh, you didn't get this, so here's the most basic by-the-numbers game we could possibly make. If this makes no sense to you, here you go, you dumb bitch. You like it now? The game looked fine initially, but nothing stuck out about it. It was just, oh, here's a 2D game with a whip. Everything's made out of blocks. There's nothing that takes advantage of the fact that Chibi-Robo's a small robot. You could have taken him out of the game and made him any character and given them a whip, and it would have been the exact same thing. And they did this when the 3DS was far from lacking in 2D platformers. Like I said, this doesn't make the game more appealing, it just makes it blend in with the crowd. But hey, here's a Chibi-Robo amiibo that comes with the game, you should buy it! Oh man, now people who collect amiibo have to buy this. I mean, they just have to. You get the figure and it barely does anything when you scan it into the game, you have to have it. The game was announced for North America one day later on June 1st in a Nintendo Direct Micro, playing around with the small size of Chibi-Robo. The game was announced for an October release. They showcased it at E3 later that month, not in their big Nintendo digital event, no, but at things like the Treehouse Live Show. It's really weird to me that they didn't just wait to reveal this game at E3 2015 and instead opted to talk about it in the Direct Micro. I mean, they padded out their digital event with stuff like talking about Yoshi's Woolly World for the 20th time like 4 days before it came out in Europe. Why not show off Ziplash during their big event? If they went to all the trouble of turning Chibi-Robo into a 2D platform for the sake of making it more widely recognizable and accessible, why not showcase the game in your big E3 show? Instead, all you do is announce it in a video many people didn't even know existed and proceed to not talk about it for 4 months until it comes out in October. Again, you like to act like you want this franchise to succeed, but you just give up on it immediately after revealing a new game.
So what you're saying is, it's a shitty game.
Chibi-Robo Ziplash was released on October 9th, 2015 here in North America, and the developers basically guilted fans into buying it, saying how, oh, this may be our last chance for Chibi-Robo. Oh, please, you know what else was potentially the last chance for a franchise? Fire Emblem Awakening. That also released for the 3DS, and it was pretty much the ultimate Fire Emblem at the time. Fans loved it, and it created new fans. Chibi-Robo Ziplash is nothing like a Chibi-Robo game. It wasn't what fans wanted, but they better buy it if they want more games. What does that tell Nintendo? If I buy this game, that's telling them I want more 2D Chibi-Robo. I don't. Or it also says I'll buy anything Nintendo releases. I did. So for $29.99, you could buy this game by itself. For $10 more, you could get the Amiibo bundle. This was originally the only way you could nab the Chibi-Robo Amiibo here in the States, though later on, Amazon exclusively sold it separately. I mean, I like this amiibo quite a bit. The plug is neat. It's too big to fit into an actual outlet. Curses. But this is a nice figure, and I like the box, I guess. The new Chibi-Robo logo looks better than the original, in my opinion, though. The name, I found it odd that from October 2015 to October 2016, Nintendo had a tendency to name games that were either polarizing or negatively received with an ash at the end of their subtitles. But at least here, Ziplash is a fun play on words referencing a medical condition. I'd assume if this game got a sequel, it would be called Chibi-Robo Melanoma Roma.
Oh, come on. I think Ziplash is a great name. If they replace the word good with the word Chibi-Robo Ziplash, I'd have no problem with it.
You'd be okay with replacing a word just like that?
Oh, I would. And that's saying something. Words mean a lot to me. Words have been in my family for generations. I'm a word buff. Go ahead, name a word. Any word.
What?
Love that one.
Upon release, Ziplash received a price drop. Yes, this did not do well commercially or critically. Sitting at a ripe 59 on Metacritic, was that deserved? No, even 0's too high. I bought this game at launch because I wanted to support the Chibi-Robo franchise. I wanted to see more games. I wanted the series to not have to worry about casket shopping after every entry. Plus the amiibo was neat, and I was in that buy every Nintendo release you can phase of my life. I popped this game in, played it for 58 minutes, and I couldn't do it.
So you've barely played this game, and yet you hate it this much?
No, I hate it way more than this much.
You can't form an opinion on a game you've barely played. That's unethical. That's why we have HR.
So I should play 10 hours of a game I already know I don't like just to have an opinion on it?
Well, if you don't like it, don't play it.
But how would I know I don't like it if I don't play it?
Well, just stop doing stuff!
This game has spent enough time soaking. It's time to play through it and give it a fair shot, because who knows, maybe 60 hours in, I'll start to see its worth. I will not put this down until I beat this game, so let me just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There.
Can you put the game in for me?
No, that goes against my family's tradition. They never asked me to pop in Chibi-Robo Ziplash, and I will always never do that to honor them.
Well, we're gonna need help with this. Can you at least get this off of me?
Now that, me and my family did all the time.
I am forwarding this message to everybody in my contacts list. If you stop by tonight, we'll play.
Don't lie. I've lied before, and it's too fun.
Chibi-Robo Ziplash.
Did not take you as a Ziplash fan.
I'm not. I knew you were lying, and I'm finally willing to give Gex a shot.
Oh no.
It's the Gex. Anyone up for round Gex?
What if I told you I didn't even own Gex and I wasn't lying about Ziplash?
That's ridiculous. We played Gex that one time.
That was Amiibo Festival.
Well,
that was Ultra Smash.
But-
that was a car wash we went through together.
Hey, I heard you didn't own Gex.
From myself?
Yeah, word gets around.
You keep these on you? I thought you hated Gex.
Hey, I cross-reference that copy whenever I need to be reminded how much I hate Gex. Yeah, that lizard.
Alright, let's play Gex.
You know what I like about Gex? Consistency.
Okay, can somebody pop in the game for me? I can't do it myself.
You knew that was gonna end up happening anyways.
I was worried that 3DS wasn't hammer resistant.
You're welcome.
Alright. Chibi-Robo Ziplash. Swing into action with your Chibi plug and help Chibi-Robo save the world. I think I'm gonna be sick.
Oh! That's a f***ing Cheez-It!
Let's get this over with.
Chibi-Robo Ziplash opens up on a 40-second long CGI cutscene where Chibi-Robo swings his plug. And that's it. Here's the title screen. This looks disgusting. First off, oh great, a farm. That's the first and only thing I think of when the act of Chibi-Robo comes up. Everything is really blocky and unappealing. To me, this feels like they were cutting corners and made really low polygon models and tried to act like, oh, that's just the game's art style. Like, really? Is this really an artistic decision? So the story starts. Chibi-Robo is cleaning a space shuttle. I don't give a shit. Our assistant Telly appears asking if we want to kick it and watch some TV. The news comes on and it's apparent that aliens have stolen natural resources from Earth. We gotta stop them! So here we go, we control Chibi-Robo, who would have guessed? We jump with A and swing your plug with X, which is called a whiplash. This game is one big f*** you to WebMD. We can angle it in the air, that's all we can do. Swing to the side, swing at one angle in the air, nothing else is possible, stop dreaming. That is unless we hold the Y button. That's when the Ziplash comes into play. Oh, thank God, yes, finally, a good f***ing use for this button. The Ziplash is a more powerful whiplash you have to charge up and then you can angle anywhere. You collect orbs throughout the level to increase the length of your Ziplash and then you can get it going farther places, but the length resets after every level, so it might be a good idea to just give up. So, yeah, the Ziplash can go pretty far. Look at that, somebody should name a game after it. Man, can you imagine a game with an Ultra Smash and a Ziplash. The Ziplash needs to be charged though, and it's painstakingly long. It takes a couple of seconds and then you have to aim, and if I aim incorrectly, I have to charge it up again. Aiming the thing is way too finicky with the circle pad. You can move it more precisely with the D-pad, but now aiming is ridiculously slow. So that means, well, just use the Whiplash, but it's so damn limited. You can't increase its length like the Ziplash, and you can only aim it in like 2 directions. So your options are either annoyingly limited or annoyingly slow. This isn't fun. It feels like they were making the game and Chibi-Robo's moveset was actually pretty interesting and well developed and, you know, fun. And they said, you know what, this is too fun. Let's split Chibi-Robo's plug attack across 2 moves and give them annoying elements that forces the player to use both. That's not fun. I don't jump at the chance to use a Whiplash. I don't jump at the chance to use a Ziplash. I begrudgingly use them to progress. I mean, alright, the Whiplash is good for up close combat and the Ziplash is good for far away stuff. I get they wanted to have a reason for you to use the Whiplash and the Ziplash, but come on, out of all games to have coherent design decisions, I'd personally design Chibi-Robo's moveset to be a bit more fun to use because the Whiplash is too limited and the Ziplash is too much of a hassle. I think charging the Ziplash is unnecessary. Charging it doesn't make it go longer or anything. I think just holding the button, it immediately lets you aim and then you can let her rip. Maybe the downside would be the fact that once you let her rip, you have to watch it do its thing afterwards. There's still that slowness element, but it would be a lot less cumbersome. And then you could have given the Whiplash more angles to work with here while still being short in its reach. I think doing that and eliminating the Ziplash charge up would still give you reasons to use both moves. Of course you may say, Sky, you're not a developer, you don't know the first thing about designing a game. See, that's the thing. I don't know the first thing about game development, but that makes it even more fun to tell game developers what I would do differently.
You know, this game doesn't seem too bad so far. It has graphics, and it exists.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a sucker for existence.
Me too. That's why I love Gex.
Guys, like, the game works, but the movement is more annoying than fun. It's like just gliding in the air. You have to hold X while falling. It's like, it just doesn't feel good. It feels awkward. It feels like a tacked on move more than anything. And then there's rolling in the game. Like, you have to hold R and it's only used in like 4 levels throughout the entire thing. Like, it's worthless.
Wait, there's a roll in the game? Oh yeah, roll!
That's f***ing Gex.
So controlling the game works, but I don't find it fun. Your moveset is more so a means to get you to the end of the game rather than something I actively want to use because it's enjoyable. I mean, the game itself, it's just Chibi-Robo going from point A to point B in the level. Use your plug to do all kinds of things, kill enemies, latch onto areas. I can't believe this game didn't do well. You have plugs throughout the levels to recharge your health, which gradually decreases throughout the level since you're just on battery power. So you plug in here, but then you can attach these orange things to fly up to higher ground. Why are they just orange things? What are orange things? Why aren't they outlets? That's one thing I just don't get about this game. The art design, context of everything, and what the hell they were going for. So Chibi-Robo's going on a journey throughout the world. We traveled to Oceania, then North Africa, then the Caribbean, Europe, North America, the South Pole, real life places. So why are all levels so generic? Why are they made out of blocks? Why is everything going for a low polygon art style? And where exactly am I in relation to these places? Chibi-Robo's a tiny robot, but I never feel that perspective in these stages. Sure, there might be a big hat or something in the background, but most of the time, his size never amounts to anything in here. The fact I'm in Europe doesn't matter. These are just bland-looking stages that are just made up of tiles. Like, why do these levels look like they were made in a level creator? Just everything's made up of blocks. And if that's really the art style they were going for, why wasn't Chibi-Robo redesigned to look more blocky to go along with the rest of the style? Why can't I collect real-world candies in the game that are designed realistically, but then the rest of the game looks like this? But then the worlds I'm traveling through are real-life locations. I'm supposed to actually believe this is Europe, but then when we're about to fight a boss, Telly says, oh, we're about to fight World 1's boss. Like, who says that outside of a video game? That just feels lazy. Why couldn't you just say, oh man, this guy's looking pretty tough? No! You're about to fight the World 3 boss fight, sir. You are in a video game made of blocks, even though we also like to act like you're in real life Europe. Here's a realistic looking bag of Funyuns.
I personally enjoy how inconsistent the art style is.
Yeah, inconsistency is a fun quirk of Gex.
I think it really keeps you on your toes. Like a mouse.
Oh, yeah. All right, okay, I get it.
All right,
let's go.
Yeah.
How about, I think it's confusing. None of this references the fact that Chibi-Robo is a tiny robot, which is his entire character. The block-based level design is putrid, and this game just doesn't know what it wants to be at all.
So, tell me where it all began.
Oh, don't even get me started.
I'm gonna need a priest.
So we've got 6 worlds with 6 levels each in them. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when we enter these levels, they really got around the lack of content here by making the levels never f***ing end. These stages take a good 10 to 20 minutes to finish, and without there's absolutely nothing interesting going on in them, and how slow Chibi-Robo is, how slow the Ziplash is to charge up, how limited the Whiplash is, they feel a hell of a lot longer. They're beyond tedious, and it doesn't help that this game just has a ton of collectibles hidden throughout the levels. They're pointless. You have Chibi Tots, they're children, big coins. All these do is increase your score at the end of the level, and there are so many of these things per stage, I almost feel inclined to collect them, but then I remember, these give you nothing. Stop wasting your time. Your time is valuable. And then I continue to play 10 hours of Chibi-Robo Ziplash. Now, you do have those collectible snacks throughout the levels too, the really realistic looking ones. You can nab these, and then if you find a talking toy and give them all the snacks they want, you'll unlock a costume. These talking toys are some of the only form of resemblance this game has to actual Chibi-Robo games. Those titles had you meet up with wacky looking characters, and the toys are sort of that, but they just look completely out of place here. Like, it made sense when you'd see these things in the original game. They're toys, you're in a family's house, do the math. Here I'm just dicking around in the Caribbean and some toy is randomly just hanging out in a portal. There's no context to the place they're sitting, it's just a place. There's nothing going on here. Why are you here? Why theme this entire game around a trip around the world when you aren't actually going to make the stages look like they're a part of that world and have random toys ask for snacks in them? Why not make this a 2D platformer taking place in a house or a school or something? That would have forced the developers to think outside the box and try to design unique platforming stages around places like a kid's room, a bathroom, a kitchen. Instead, they decided to go for a worldwide trip theme so they could just lazily use generic themes like grasslands, desert. They just went water level, we're in the Caribbean. Anyways, the snacks you give to these toys are real world snacks, and you get a giant advertisement told to you when you give them the food. Yes, this is blame product placement, and it's even weirder based on how the rest of the game looks like this. And then you find Utz cheese curls and they look like that. To be fair, the snacks are from around the world, and it doesn't feel like advertising when it's a foreign food. It's more so kind of just a fun fact thing. But no matter what, this is obviously product placement at its worst. There's no reason for this to be here. It doesn't fit. At least in a game like Pikmin 2, where there are real-world objects in the game. One, it fits more because Pikmin 2's environments are supposed to look like the real world. It's more realistic. And two, they don't openly advertise the products to you. They go, oh, what's this thing? And they try to make sense of it themselves. It doesn't feel like product placement in Pikmin 2 because the product placement adds to the experience. It makes it more realistic. Ziplash pissed me off and makes me want dots.
So, I hear the game looks, the levels are incredibly boring and they go on forever, the product placement is completely out of place, the moveset is more cumbersome than fun. I don't like it.
Well, that sounds like somebody that hasn't played enough of this game. Why don't you play another 5 hours and come back to us?
Yeah, it's a fine game. It's not like the level progression is like one of the stupidest f***ing game mechanics you've ever seen.
Oh! After you beat a stage, you have to spin the destination wheel. That sounds like fun. What does it do? Well, it decides what stage you're doing next. If you land on one, you go to the next stage. If you land on two, you go to the stage after the next. Now, you'll still have to beat the stage you skipped over to progress. So what the f*** is the point of jumping all around like this? The 6 stages per world are set up like most 2D platformers. They gradually get harder the farther you go, so why make players play them out of order if that's the case? And also, while the stages are deliberately called World 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, there's an obvious order to follow here. Why do I have to spin this wheel? The wheel isn't meant to be fun. It's meant to be a roadblock, much like how the Whiplash is limited and the Ziplash is slow. Why wouldn't I want to go one stage at a time? I can't see what any future stages are going to contain. There's no reason why I'd want to play level 5 before level 3, so why would I want to skip around like this? Obviously, the game wants you to progress normally. The end of a level is symbolized by 3 UFOs. Hitting the gold one gives you 3 destination wheel spins, silver gets you 2, bronze gives you 1. Obviously, you want the gold so you can guarantee you can keep spinning the wheel to get the stage you want, as in the next one in line. Because if you spin the wheel and it lands on a 3 and you land on a stage you've already cleared, you have to play through it again. The game knows this isn't fun. Why else would they reward you with extra chances to spin by hitting the gold UFO? Why else would you be able to purchase wheel slots so you can get the exact number you want? Wait, what the f*** is the point of this then? If I can just buy slots with the exact numbers I want with the coins I collect, that just defeats any and all purpose of the wheel. It's just an annoying thing they added for the sake of being annoying. It doesn't even make sense in the context of the game. At least things like the news broadcast you're forced to watch in Splatoon, that may be annoying, but makes sense in the context of the game's world. A fucking wheel doesn't. It's even stupider that once you clear all the levels in the world and the boss appears, you still have to spin the wheel even when all the slots take you to the boss. What is wrong with this game?
Not much?
Well, might as well go through all the worlds. I mean, what else is there to talk about? World 1 is Oceania. We got boring grassland stages, a stage where we're on balloons and swinging back and forth brings it down, staying still brings it up.
That saves the game right there.
World 1's boss is a robot kangaroo thing, fun. World 2 is North Africa, basically the desert world of this game. We have a skateboard stage in here. I died twice and gave up. When you die twice or more, you can just clear stages with coins. I have no shame. This game is far from difficult. It's incredibly easy, but if you happen to fall down a pit or something, starting back at the last checkpoint is grueling due to how slow everything is. I hate the idea of having to do everything in this game all over again. And if you lose all your energy, you have to restart the level. And for these vehicle gimmick stages, it's really easy to get a game over because either your robot energy is being used by the vehicles or just one screw up is an immediate failure and you have to start the whole level over again. Thumbs in anything that's played this game. The boss of this world is a snake pharaoh thing. Grab bombs and throw it in its mouth. Just getting these bombs over here takes a while, and waiting for the snake to open up its mouth takes a while. This boss took 15 minutes to complete, and I didn't die at all. It just took a long time. I was considering giving up here. I considered giving up as soon as I left the womb, but alas, here I am, World 3. The Caribbean, the ocean stage, where Chibi-Robo pulls a Moses and parts the Red Sea. There's an ice Chibi-Robo power-up where we get to turn water into ice for a second. There's also a fire Chibi-Robo power-up where we get to turn things on fire, but both of these pretty much equate to hold right, you'll demolish anything in your path. There's a jet ski thing, and then the submarine is one of the worst controlling things humanity has ever created. It is so slow and delayed. It is a submarine. It should feel slightly slow and delayed, but this is so slow and delayed. It's just not fun. Like 90% of what this game does, they force these little irritations in there. They could have made this game, at the very least, fun to control, but for some reason, they think adding an annoying thing to every controllable aspect of this game is good game design. And then the boss of this world, you use the damn submarine again! World 4 is Europe, or the forest, where it's just the same 2D platforming again. The return of the stupid balloon thing, I skipped this one, the boss is bats. World 5 is North America, alright, home field advantage. This is an industrial world, a lot of factories. Another skateboard level, I skipped this one. The boss is this. And World 6 is the South Pole. The South Pole. It's really weird the final levels are snow themed. It's even weirder half of them are lava themed. So I guess the idea is that the aliens have done so much damage to the world that the South Pole is on fire. Maybe. Or maybe they just decided to slap real world places on the names of these worlds at the last minute. The controls in this world. Oh Christ God. I actually usually like ice worlds in games. The physics are generally tolerable to me and I enjoy the winter aesthetic, but here, the controls are terrible. It's not only slippery, but everything is so delayed and slower than ever before. This is unbearable. There's another jet ski stage, skipped it, I kept running out of battery power and got 2 game overs, didn't have the energy myself to figure out what I was doing wrong. The world randomly throws you a lava stage halfway through. It goes back to an ice theme and then another lava theme. The final boss! Oh my god, I don't know if I'm happy I finally finished this game and can actively call it a piece of shit, or if I'm sad I stooped to the level of beating Chibi-Robo Ziplash. The boss is a giant alien ship. We grab the tiny alien UFOs, they become laser guns, and we have to shoot all the bright spots on the ship in the background. Honestly, the best fight in the game. It's a decent fight, not hard at all, but I think it was a neat little change of pace. But of course, this wasn't the final boss. There's a final boss. We have to build a giant Chibi-Robo robot to fight it, and now we have to buy the pieces to make the robot. This money I've collected has had no use outside of skipping levels, buying number panels, and buying items throughout the stage if you needed them. I did not. But right before the final boss, you're telling me I had to be grinding for coins this entire time. Why not make it so then every boss fight you have to purchase things so it gets in my Chibi-Robo Ziplash beating head that I might need to save up coins for the final boss? I only had enough coins for the head. Now I have to go back through the game and grind for 20,000 coins to buy body parts to beat the final boss. I am f***ing done.
You should probably get on that.
I can use the amiibo. Look, Chibi-Robo is still partially owned by Bandai. I'm still not happy. We can get World 7 Asia with it by scanning it in. It's a bonus world and oh my god, why didn't the rest of the game look like this? I mean, there are still blocks, but this looks so much more appealing than the rest of the game. We can level up our Chibi-Robo amiibo and become Super Chibi-Robo, which is just a slightly powered up Chibi-Robo. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't want to play through hours more of this game just to get coins for a final boss I'm not gonna like. So
I can see where the budget went.
You know, it all comes together in the end.
I mean, I liked the game, but now I really like it.
Gex.
Chibi-Robo Ziplash is not a good game. It's a painfully generic 2D platformer and spits in the face of what the original Chibi-Robo represented and showcases my problems with some modern Nintendo games. It felt like it was talking down to the consumers. No, people don't like this, but they'll like this. A boring, annoying 2D platformer with terrible art design and no idea what it wants to be. The levels are designed alright, the game functions, but is that really enough to call a game okay? No, there's no reason to play this game, and it annoys me that they held the series hostage over this thing's success. I don't think Skip developed much of this game. The developer Vanpool is in the credits, and looking at their history with games like Wii Play Motion and the minigames and Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, I feel like they primarily developed this game and Skip kinda just oversaw it. Comparing these three games is tough, but I easily dislike Ziplash the most. They're all terrible, but Amiibo Festival has some dumb, sarcastic fun to be had in it, and Ultra Smash at its core has a fine base for a Mario Tennis game. Ziplash, every element of it, I have problems with, and as I progress through the game, it just irritated me more and more. It was painful to play through. This game slogs on and on. It's not fun. Every aspect of the gameplay, they added an annoying element for seemingly no reason other than to just be annoying. I have no idea why they did any of this considering they wanted Chibi-Robo to be a success. Throw in a destination wheel. Chibi-Robo's future is on the line. It's been 5 years since I bought this. And even though I'm 97% finished, I'm done. And I think I've played enough to consider this my least favorite game of all time. It blows.
Seems a little harsh, acting like you hate the game or something.
I do!
But you said the level designs are alright. You must love the game then.
Just because a game doesn't inherently have terrible level design or any major bugs or glitches, that doesn't mean it's fine. It just means it works. Just because a game works doesn't mean it's good. I don't like playing this game. I hate what it stands for. I don't like that they made fans of Chibi-Robo buy this with the hope of Chibi-Robo having a future. I don't like that they thought so low of people and consumers thinking that they'll love this generic, terrible 2D platformer. I don't like this game.
You know, when you put it that way, I kind of like the idea of this game being terrible.
Yeah, and as a therapist, therapy generally moves the quickest when I agree with everything the patient has to say.
Gex will be Gex. You know, I've had a ritual for the past 3 years or so. This game blows. This game blows. This game blows. This game blows. As much as I like that, I think I want to end this now. How can we take each and every one of the Chibi-Robo Ziplash games in existence and eliminate each and every one of them?
We're swimming with rats.
Can't swim. Love rats. I'm in.
More of a lizard guy.
I'm deathly afraid of circles.
Come on, guys. I have thrown 95% of Ziplash's population down the toilet over the past 3 years. If we go down there right now, we can finish them off before they ever resurface.
I have as much confidence in this as I have facial hair.
You have facial hair.
Where?
Well, I'm in. You know what they say, WWGD.
What would Gex do?
The G stands for Jesus. All right, Rex. Oh, the revolution isn't for everybody.
Oh, I dropped something down the toilet last week. Remind me to look for it. Oh! There are my jeans!
Okay, so keep an eye out for these games. What does it look like again? Hard to describe. Shapes, 4 sides, colors.
Does it have Chibi-Robo Ziplash on it?
Yes!
There they are.
I just thought that's what water looked like now! Weird name for Gex. Why are the copies circling around?
I f***ing hate circles! All the copies you've thrown down the toilet over the past 3 years have become sentient?
That's why my plumber fucking hated me.
Guys, come on. Gex gonna do this, right, Gex?
It's the anti-Gex!
No, it's just a sewer monster comprised entirely of copies of Ziplash!
I'm going with the anti-Gex.
Even the anti-Gex has the word Gex in it.
Now that's what I call a good point.
terrible game, but that doesn't mean I won't overcome you. I'm better than that! You're back?
I needed energy and ammo.
So what's the game plan here? What the hell is the game plan here?
What's the exact opposite of this thing? Not Gex, that's for sure.
No. No, I think it's Gex.
You know, I've always wondered what trauma felt like.
Thanks. Thanks for sticking it out with me. I got it all out of my system. Nintendo had a bad 2015, but that doesn't mean I should let it affect my mental health. And so what if somebody likes a game I dislike? It doesn't matter. They're wrong anyways.
It's been an honor serving you. I can finally tell you why you're so messed up in the head. After playing a game as good as Chibi-Robo Ziplash, it will definitely make you feel inadequate.
Sure.
You can rip up that rain check for therapy I had with you. I'm good on my own now. I think I'm going to start my own therapy business. Call it the Think Barrel.
Nah, good on you. I love seeing therapists start their own business.
Yeah. What was your name?
Dr. Atrix, but you can call me Jerry.
Thank you, Dr. Geriatrics. You know, I still have this on me. Oh my god, for real? Oh yes! We're turning this Gex night into a Gex year. What the f*** is this?